Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you all are doing well. Let me double check that this thing is working. Okay, sweet. Friday. I'm pulling this up on my phone. So if you're here live with me, I can see your comments and answer your questions. So I'll just wait a minute to see if any of you were able to join live, because if you have questions about renewals, I'm happy to get those answered for you, because that is why we're here. And then, of course, if you have questions later, or if Facebook's just not your jam and you're here because you're worried this is the only place you can get this information, I promise that this information will also be delivered to you via email. And we are also moving these videos into the leadership library as well. So lots of different options for you all to consume this content. We're trying to make it as accessible to you and as adaptable to your learning styles as possible. So lots of different methods and ways for you to get this content. All right, so this is a part 2 video of a first video that Kelly did, I believe, earlier this week, maybe even last week, on CIO Renewals. If you want to watch that video first, I would recommend doing that so that this all makes sense. And you can just go to the units section of this group and you'll find the CIO Renewals Part 1 video. But like I said, this will also be delivered to you via email. Kelly should be sending something out on Monday because renewals open this Monday. Let me see if I can get this date right, y'all. All right, hold on. I'm going to get this date right. This is what happens when we do live videos. You get the real, hurry up on my phone. Okay, renewals open Monday, April 6th. I almost forgot what month we were in. Okay. Is anyone else having a hard time keeping track of the days of the week? Because I totally am. Before I get started talking about renewals too, I want to take a quick minute to reference the video that Ashley Holland did in the group earlier this week, just talking about processing emotions and feelings and grief. I've been talking to a lot of friends recently who were doing really well the first couple of weeks all this was going on, and then just one day woke up and it sort of just hit them. So I just want to provide space too, that if that's you, if you're waking up one day and you're just feeling really hit heavy by the weight of things that are going on, just know that that's totally normal and okay. And many of us will find ourselves on a roller coaster of emotion during this time. And that is when it is the best time to lean on each other for support. So in addition to asking your CIO related questions in here, please feel free to use this group as a general support group as well. And so if you have any questions, or if you're just looking for some connection, we really do want to see you all taking advantage of the ability to post in this group and ask away and support one another. Or even if you have an encouraging story to share, feel free to post that in the group as well. I'm sure that if you had an experience that others can probably relate and would want to hear and know that as well. All right, so now that has been said, know too that we are here to support you. So if we can do anything to help you, feel free to message us, contact us at studentengagement@virginia.edu, and we will get in touch with you. Let's talk about CIO Renewals. All right, this is CIO Renewals Part 2, so I'm talking through the second half of the CIO Renewal. Also, if you haven't volunteered yourself, Kelly is looking for maybe a CIO or two to actually physically walk through the CIO renewal with in like a Zoom call. So she'll do it live with you and help you get it processed. Pretty cool, because then you don't have to worry about figuring it out on your own. But the cool thing is, if you don't do that with Kelly, you'll have the opportunity to see that video. So you can actually do it kind of almost like step-by-step live, which we hope will make it easier for you all and less frustrating, because you'll get less bounce back in terms of us having to deny your applications, because we would love to approve you all on the first go around, because it makes our lives easier, it makes your lives easier, and so that's why we're providing all this information for you. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the roster. So when you get to the roster section of your CIO, you're going to want to make sure that you list at least 10 different members. We do check this when we process the renewals. If for some reason your organization doesn't have 10 members, for whatever reason, we can work with you. We know that some groups target really small niche kind of interests or populations. And so if you fall into that category, please contact us before you submit your application, studentengagement@virginia.edu. But for most of you, you should just be able to submit at least 10 members, if not more. This is also a great place to track your roster. So if you don't do that somewhere else, this is a great time to see sort of how your membership is ebbing and flowing from year to year. So we would definitely recommend that you take advantage of this. The next section that you're going to come across is the non-affiliation language, and this basically is a paragraph that states that your CIO is independent from the university, and so any functions and things that you all do are not on behalf of the university, and they give you freedom and independence to do and be and create in the spirit of student self-governance. So this sentence or paragraph, if you will, is really important for you to make sure that you copy and paste onto all of your websites, social media, as you can. So we know that on things like, Instagram, the bio doesn't let you do that. That's fine. If there's a bio limitation, we don't expect you to do that. But like on your website, you definitely need to make sure you have this language in your Facebook groups, on your Facebook pages, all of that. If you have any questions about it, the language is actually directly in the renewal, so you can literally copy and paste it, so it makes it really easy. And then the last tip that we have for you all is to Google your organization when you go to do this. And the reason for this is that sometimes you might have old websites that maybe are still up and live. And as you might imagine, when we're going through and checking this, and this is something our team looks throughout the year. So we don't necessarily look at this for every single renewal, but we do check this periodically throughout the year. And if we find that you have websites or social media that don't have this information, we'll notify you, but we'll have to freeze your group until we get it rectified and fixed. So it's better if you do this proactively and just get that taken care of. So I recommend Googling your group and seeing if you have any old websites out there, because if we're Googling your group and we're finding old websites, then we want to make sure that those are taken down or that the language is updated on them. If you have trouble with your old websites because passwords have been lost and information hasn't been transferred over, we will 100% work with you. Just email us at studentengagement@virginia.edu. And like I said, we want to work with you to make this as easy as possible. So please, if you run into issues, email us and we will make notes and work with you and figure it out. But the more proactive you are, the more we're able to help you. When we get reactive, that's where things get really messy. So the next thing that you're going to come across in your renewal is the non-discrimination language. So that is another really important paragraph that you need to copy and paste into your social media, websites. Non-discrimination language. Erase that. It goes into your constitution. This is non-discrimination language for your membership specifically. So we know that there are some exceptions with religious groups, political organizations, but this is specific to discrimination for certain categories based on your membership. And so that language is really important. There's a little spot at the very beginning for you to customize it and put your own CIO's name there. And then the rest of the language you need to just copy and paste verbatim. Make sure that if you already have language in the Constitution that you're using, that it is this specific non-discrimination language. And the best way to do that is to just make sure that you update your Constitution. Because there are older versions of the non-discrimination language that don't include some protected classes that are now in the non-discrimination language. And an important note on that is, I just forgot what I was going to say. Well, I guess we'll come back to that. The biggest issue that we run into here, first off, is having old language, that the language hasn't been updated. We also run into issues when you don't change the CIO name and it just says like your CIO will not discriminate. Please just put your CIO name. And then lastly, some of you may have constitutions that require your membership to vote on changes. So if that's the case, the earlier you look at this and process your CIO renewal, the more time you will have to then follow whatever your procedures are for updating your constitution. So if your constitution requires a vote by your membership or by your exec team, it's better to do that on the front end and not necessarily just go and make changes, because then that would go against your constitution and bylaws. Again, if you have any questions about that, feel free to drop those in this video and we will help you as best as we can. The second to last, two more things we got to go through. The second to last thing that we're going to be looking at is that you are correctly using the university name. So CIOs, if you want to use the UVA language, need to be, the Harry Potter Club at the University of Virginia or the Harry Potter Club at UVA. That at is really important. This is true for your club name, Facebook groups, websites, your social media. So it can't be UVA Harry Potter Club or University of Virginia Harry Potter Club. It has to be Harry Potter Club at University of Virginia, Harry Potter Club at Virginia. And again, this is another great time to Google your CIO and see what is coming up and make sure that there aren't any old like email addresses or anything floating out there, because that's typically where we run into the most issues with this. Y'all are typically really awesome at changing this, but again, we'd love to not have to deny any of your applications this year and just be able to approve, and let you have access to signing up for the activities fair, which those registrations will be opening up soon, which is exciting as well. Again, any questions about that? Even if you're like, I'm not really sure if my name is correct or not, feel free to drop that in this Facebook group and we can help you with that before you submit your application, and then you don't have to worry about it getting denied later. So good. All right, the last thing that you will see in your renewal is that we want to make sure that you're only using logos that are permitted by the university. So we know a lot of our organizations love to use like the split V or even some of the UVA branding logos like the rotunda and all of that. So let's make this really simple. The only university logo that student organizations are allowed to use, CIOs rather, are allowed to use is that split V. And there's a very specific split V that you need to use. When communications updated all of the UVA branding, they created an awesome template that you can use and literally go in and put in your CIO name and you will get the perfectly branded UVA V. You need to make sure that you're not homegrown making one. Your marketing officer should have access to an account through brand guidelines, and that's at brand.virginia.edu. And when your new marketing officer comes in place, they will also get an account that they can go in and they can create these logos so that you are within brand guidelines and we don't have any problems or issues. This is just the split V. It's not the V with the sabers. So it's really important that you pay attention to that as you're looking through any graphics, images that you're making, logos, all of that. We also are not allowed to use the rotunda image in any capacity. If you create something with a rotunda image that you want to be able to use, hey, Duran. If you create something with a rotunda image that you want to be able to use, or with any of the UVA logos, you can always seek permission by emailing brand guidelines at virginia.edu. But before you do that, I would highly recommend that your marketing officer look through the guidelines that are already listed at brand.virginia.edu because there's a lot of really great information there, and that might answer your question so that we don't bombard brand guidelines with a bunch of questions. But there is some like a little bit of wiggle room there. It's probably just like easier to stay away from it altogether. But also we know you guys love UVA and we want to make it possible for you to show your UVA pride within the guidelines that communications and brand guidelines permits. So those are the second half of the sections of your renewal application. We'll run through those real quick one more time for you all. So it's your roster, making sure you have at least 10 different members, making sure the non-affiliation language, and that's the language that basically says your CIO is not affiliated with the university, is on all your social media, all on your websites, where word count, language, bio permits. That the non-discrimination language is included in your constitution, and that is the correct non-discrimination language. That you are correctly using the university name, so you're the Harry Potter Club at UVA or the Harry Potter Club at the University of Virginia. If you use the university name at all, you don't have to. You can get creative and totally just remove the UVA part of it. And then, of course, that you're using the permitted logos. And if you ever have any questions about that, you can always email brandguidelines@virginia.edu. But would highly recommend that you check brand.virginia.edu before you email brand guidelines because they have lots of great information there. I would say that in terms of the sections that we see the most issues with when we're processing the applications and having to deny you all basically is the non-discrimination language on the Constitution. So it's like just inaccurate. It's from a previous year. And so making sure that that's correct. And then I would say we run into some issues too pretty frequently with the use of the university name. And some of that is just like if you've been around for a while and things have shifted over time that maybe you just like didn't notice a spot. And we know that there's a lot of different places where you have to change things. Did you guys hear that like little alert? There's a lot of different things that you guys have to look through, and there's a lot of details, and that this can be overwhelming since this is one of the first tasks that you do as new organization presidents. And so we know that it's a lot, and so we're trying to create systems to help you all as best as possible. But I would say that those are two of the most common areas that groups sort of get held up at. So like I said, make sure you go and check out that post that Kelly put in the group about having your application reviewed live with her if you would like someone to literally just walk you through the process. And then if you're not able to do that, make sure you catch the video, which will send out information on how to access so that you could just like do your renewal while you see somebody else get their renewal done. And that way we just get to say approved to everybody and it'll be all great and wonderful. But of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop those in the group. Feel free to drop those on this specific video or the other renewal video, or you can always email us at studentengagement.virginia.edu. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Let us know how we can support you, and happy Friday. Bye, y'all.